Training Camp Live, presented by American Airlines, rolls on from Oxnard, California, alongside Tommy Yarrish. I'm Kyle Youmans. We've got a treat for you today. Of course, team drills have been the common for Brian Schottenheimer in his first camp, but now we've got a team meeting. Let's turn and look at this, Alex, as we take a look at this. Just an opportunity for Brian Schottenheimer to set the tone before we go into some red zone work, Tommy.
Yeah, this is the first time that, not the first time, but this is going to be our first training camp live, I think, where we've looked at red zone work. Obviously, this is an area of the field that's extremely important in today's NFL. You've got to be able to capitalize and put 6 points on the board instead of 3. Obviously, that is, it goes unsaid, right? You always want to score touchdowns, but what does Brian Schottenheimer's offense look like in the red zone this year? That's a big question, and we're going to get a quick look at it here.
The big thing here is the energy is ramped up. You can kind of feel a buzz here. Maybe it's the music. Maybe it's the crowd excited to see some red zone work. But the ones are going to start things off for this red zone period. Dak out of the shotgun, takes a 5-step drop, looking to his left, dumps it off to Ferguson, bobbled initially, but he makes the grab, closed in on quickly by Bland, who's back in the fold today after welcoming a child to the family, and then Maris Leofau, who's had a pretty good camp so far too.
Yeah, congratulations to Deron Bland. And you look on the offensive line, you see 71 over there. That's Nate Thomas, who Stephen Jones said yesterday on 105.3 the Fan would be taking over at left tackle with Tyler Guyton sideline, taking over the first team reps. But we're going to see a couple of guys in that mix, Awesome Richards, and then Hakeem Adeniji working off to the side today. Looks like he was with the rehab group, so maybe just those two primarily.
Thomas with a good rep initially against Marshawn Nealon, but Nealon works back inside, gets his left hand on the football, and he works a PBU.
Yeah, Marshawn Nealon's had a solid camp so far and just makes another play there. He had the first interception at camp on a running back screen. He's active with his hands, and he's active inside and outside coming off the edge.
Keemon Hall working with the ones, the former University of North Texas star, going up against Jalen Tolbert, formerly out of South Alabama. They're both in the slot. It's Ceedee Lamb versus Deron Bland on the edge. This one working from about the 9-yard line, right up the middle. There's a little hurdle from Miles Sanders. He was touched prior to getting to the end zone, and now we see Jake Ferguson and Donovan Ezeraku with the extracurricular. It looks like Ezeraku rips the helmet off of the new $52 million man.
Wow. How about the rookie getting a little bit fiery there? And Jake Ferguson has been in the midst of some of these little scuffles that we've seen, and maybe a little bit of an instigator sometimes too, but that's what the Cowboys love about him, right? He's an enforcer, and that's a big reason why they paid him, the $52 million extension that he got the other day. It's stuff like that, and you've got to have those tough guys when you want a tough team.
Fake toss. Nealon got in there, was able to work against Tyler Smith. It looked like maybe a pass off there or something didn't work right for the offensive line upon initial viewing. They reset it at the 4-yard line. Now it's a no huddle back to the line of scrimmage. Lamb outside, Williams in the backfield. Here goes Ezeraku, little stutter step. Locked it up, Ceedee Lamb. He got both feet down as well. Lamb defeats Bland for the TD.
Perfection. That is exactly what you want from your 4 to 88 connection on a goal line fade. Anytime you get Ceedee Lamb isolated in single coverage on the outside, it doesn't matter where you are on the field. If you can take advantage of that matchup, you take advantage of it in that time. All-pro against all-pro, Ceedee Lamb comes down with the win.
Love seeing that battle. That's the number one corner on your roster right now, number one wide receiver on your roster, and a really good throw lofting up there by Dak Prescott. Lamb remains in the formation, so does Bland. The one's still back out there, setting up from the 2-yard line. Getting some double work here. It's almost like a 2-point conversion look. Lamb goes in motion from right to left, looking that way again. Instead, it's Pickens, dropped in the bucket by Dak Prescott.
There's your 2 top receivers in the end zone on back-to-back plays. That's what the Cowboys are hoping they can get a lot of this season. And I don't think the celebration clicked that time from Ceedee and George Pickens, but nonetheless, that's a masterful job by Dak Prescott in that drill to get it to his 2 top guys on back-to-back plays in the end zone. Really good start to the offense in this drill period.
What does that tell you about the cornerbacks and kind of the task at hand to try and cover some of these wide receivers?
Well, it's certainly not easy for any of the corners in Dallas's room to cover, and it's not going to be easy for NFL corners around the league, not just in Dallas. It's going to be a tough challenge for everyone. So The Cowboys obviously thin at the cornerback position, but it's going to be a tough task for everybody. But it's good reps for these corners because in some cases this might be some of the best receivers that they play all year, right? So you want to get the reps against the best that you can be prepared to play against others who are great around the league.
So a great rep there by the ones. Now the twos get to step in there. Joe Milton running things at quarterback. You want to see more confidence from Joe Milton across the board when commanding the offense, trying to set his receivers, taking a little extra time here. Play clock down to 11. He still has time on the play clock to set the line of scrimmage, then goes under center. Back to Jaden Blue. Not a whole lot going there in the early down.
Blue has been big, and then I think the best two running backs so far have been Jaden Blue and Miles Sanders. You saw Miles Sanders take majority of those first team reps when the ones were out there, not as much of Javonte Williams, and now Jaden Blue here with the second team. He has had a great camp and really good between the tackles, which has been a pleasant surprise. I didn't know how well he would translate in the NFL in that department, but so far so good. As I think this Phil Maffa checking in.
Awesome Richards is the starting left tackle for this group of twos. Here's Milton wide open. John Stevens in the back of the end zone. Looked like Damone Clark was late to rotate. Clark has had a really good camp so far, but he missed the assignment there on the tight end.
Yeah, wide open was John Stevens. That was way too easy for all parties involved. And Stevens, who kind of had a tough day at the last practice, a couple of drops that he should have come down with, starting off strong this time.
Now the communication a little more important for the defense after allowing that score. Jonathan Mingo is out there. Miles Sanders to the left of Joe Milton. Princeton Fant is the tight end. Little play action on the goal line. Chased down from the outside, but it was Fant with the reception right at the goal line.
The tight end's getting pretty involved so far in what we've seen in these red zone drills. We saw Jake Ferguson on that first one, not just in the passing game, but in the blocking game too. That's why you saw him and Ezraku get into it. And then Joe Milton here on this drive with passes to John Stevens and now Princeton Fant. So the ex-teammates at Tennessee, Fant and Milton connecting there. Those two have played together for a long time. And so you see the connection there on the touchdown.
How about the two edge rushers in for this defensive look? Both Ezraku and Williams on the same side as Awesome Richards at that left tackle position. Both will be going as Ezraku steps back into coverage. Milton overthrows Kavontae Turpin. He was covered throughout on the back of the end zone there by Mike Smith.
Yeah, too tall that time to Turpin, but good pocket for Milton, and now you just got to get it in the right spot.
Starting things off here with Javonte Williams off to the races in the second part of this team period. Get out of the red zone now, Tommy. It's an opportunity to see that 11-on-11 work well.
Yeah, now, we had just talked about how Miles Sanders took a majority of those first team reps, and there's not as much sign of Javonte Williams. First play we see from him, he breaks away from everybody. It's a good carry and one of the better plays that he's had at camp so far.
Dak Prescott back in the shotgun. Good to see Jonathan Mingo running a little bit with the ones from left to right. Or excuse me, right to left on his side of things. Terrence Steele back out there at right tackle these last couple practices. What have you seen from the starting right tackle on this Cowboys O-line?
Well, they're getting him out in space, and that's what Clayton Adams and Connor Riley want in terms of the run game. Get these big fellas out in spaces. It's a good carry from Hunter Lipke, who has gotten nothing but praise from this coaching staff. But they want the big fellas moving in space, right? Pulling and pin and pull, that whole 9 yards is, what part of the scheme that they're trying to run, right? And so getting these guys in space so they can get downfield and open up gaps for these running backs and give them space to work, a big part of what Brian Schottenheimer wants to do.
One defense remains out there. Ryan Flanoy at wide receiver. It's important to get these wide receivers some reps with Dak Prescott, too. Gets a good look at guys like Mingo and Tolbert and Flanoy, who will be on the back half of the wide receiver depth chart, but still could see some playing time throughout the year. And that's exactly what they do here with the connection of Flanoy.
Yeah, just quick comeback, and you see players who aren't even in the game trying to knock the ball out. Andrew Booth is on the sidelines, and he still tried to punch the ball free. It's a testament to what Matt Eberflus
I like seeing that.
Yeah,
no pads on. Why not get in the action?
Yeah, it's what you want your defense to do all the time, right? And so even when you can't do that in a real game, but nonetheless,
you could. You just can't get caught.
Well,
right?
I think
just with those 4K cameras out there.
Get caught. Pretty difficult to not get caught and get away with that. But hey, if you want to try it, give it a shot.
Here's Ferguson right off the right side of the line of scrimmage. Looks like Williams shaded there. It's going to be Sam Williams to knock him off his spot. Dak Prescott complete to Jalen Brooks and then takes a lick from Marquise Bell. What have you thought about the physicality? Cowboys in shells today. This is not a padded practice, but with it being in shells, you're still seeing a bit of that physicality carry over.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what Brian Schottenheimer wanted in terms of he wants this camp to be physical, but he doesn't want guys on the ground, right? And that's what you're seeing today. They're not in pads, so they're not going to see thud, which is the wrap up and not go through the full tackle, but not a lot of guys on the ground today. That's exactly what Brian Schottenheimer wants to see, and something they were struggling to do throughout the first couple practices that we've seen.
Oh, we get some I formation. Joe Milton under center. Didn't do a whole lot of that during his time at Tennessee. You got Princeton Fant as the up back to block for Phil Maffa. That's a heavy package in the run game.
I would venture to guess that Joe Milton did not take a single under center snap at Tennessee. I would
have to go
guess
back and review the film. Maybe like
shotgun.
one goal line or something like that. But yeah, he's definitely trying something new in these practices.
And that's where you got to make sure that you're sound technique wise, right? Because you got to make sure that your footwork is right. You got to make sure that your drops are right, so that you're not getting there late or getting there too early, and everything is on time.
Joe Milton with a kill at the line of scrimmage, right back under center, heavy package in, and it's the run game again. Getting to see a lot of work in the run game here. That's the 11-on-11 presence that Brian Schottenheimer wants to see. He wants to know what a running back is going to do in a crowded situation like that.
Yeah, and that's something that you can't get from 9-on-7 or 7-on-7, right? So it's why Brian Schottenheimer likes the 11-on-11 look so much. He knows he's got the skilled guys. He knows he's got the receivers. He knows he's got backs that can do different things in space. But you can't simulate that if you don't have an offensive and defensive line, because then you're not playing 7-on-7 on Sundays, right? You're playing 11-on-11.
Joe Milton with a bit of direction there, pointing to the left, putting a receiver in motion, right back to the ground. Jaden Blue works through a hole, and there's the speed from Blue. That's what he can bring, that first step quickness, and if he can find his way to bring some physicality, it's going to be something fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And speed and holding on to the football, the two things that the two ends of Jaden Blue, like the bookends, right? The great thing is he's got the speed. The not so great thing from college was he needs to hold on to the football. One too many fumbles for anybody's liking, and certainly for Jaden Blue's liking. But so far in camp, he hasn't had any ball security issues, and these guys are trying to punch the ball out a lot. So credit Derek Foster and this coaching staff for emphasizing how he holds onto the football and how he carries the football so that he can limit those turnovers.
Fant in the backfield again with that I formation. Maffa is the tailback. Now Milton will have time to throw underneath to Maffa. Defense did a great job in the secondary there, because even though Milton had an extra chance to go through his entire read, his entire progression, still had to check it down to Maffa.
Yeah, and that would have been a sack too for the defense. So a win for them on that rep, and you can hear David Overstreet yelling "sack, sack, sack," and it was partially coverage sack. That was good coverage on the back end, and his unit gets it done.
So this will be the last couple reps here as the ones take back over, driving down the field, continuing forward on this long drive in Oxnard. Oh, a little
end around
trickeration. There's Ceedee off to the races. I like the back and forth there that they have to bring. And if you can get him the ball in any sort of space, that's going to be a positive thing.
Yeah, very good after the catch. That's what he's been his entire career, dating back to Oklahoma and even Foster High School in the Houston area. Get him in space, let him run with the football. That's what the Cowboys want to do with all their playmakers.
Get the ball in space. That's going to be the case for Lamb, for Turpin, for Pickens, for Blue. They've had speed this year, which is something that I don't know if Dak Prescott has had this much speed around him in the past.
It might be the fastest unit he's had, right? He's had big possession guys like Des Bryant, Jason Witten, but maybe not the speedsters like Lamb and Pickens, who I think is better after the catch than we give him credit for. And then Kevontae Turpin, who is the fastest man in the NFL. And then you had Jaden Blue from college, who ran a 4.38 40 time at the combine and at his pro day. So a lot of speed. And in today's NFL, you have to play fast.
We worked from one end of the field to the complete other end of the field. We started this training camp live with some red zone work, and now we end it with some red zone work at the 9-yard line. This is first and goal for this Dallas offense. Pickens out there, Ferguson, Tolbert, and then to the far side, Ceedee Lamb lined up off the line of scrimmage as looks like we may reset the play in the formation. So forget everything I just said except for the personnel.
Yeah, I think the defense didn't get the right guys on the field. You see them making some more substitutions now. The rookie Shamar James, who we've seen get a good bit of run with the first team, back in there again as well. So the 5th-round pick out of Florida, there next to Jack Sanborn. That's always a good sign. And Kenneth Murray being out still a reason why he's in there too.
We'll play action. Now bootleg. Dak threw it into the ground. Sam Williams was lurking. Do you think that was a conscious decision from Dak? He didn't want to throw it to where Williams could get to it?
Yep, no need to force it. Just throw it to the ground in front of the eligible receiver so you don't get intentional grounding. And good job by Sam Williams getting out there in the flat and taking that play away.
That's the speed and the ability of Sam Williams. Back to the huddle. Taking their time on what is marked as a 2nd and goal now from the 4-yard line. Lipke in the backfield behind Dak.
In the eye again.
Yeah. It's Trevonte Williams. They fake it to him. Dak scans right, looks left, has time after rolling out. May have had a sack situation, and it's Damone Clark over to make the play.
Yeah, also Digizua got in there, beat a couple of guys, and they sent extra protection. They had Lipke and Javonte Williams helping as running backs in pass protection, and that time the defensive line still able to win the rep.
Good opportunity to see a lot of work here, work down the field, the drive and down in distance, and then also the red zone work at the beginning was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Red zone, like we talked about at the start of the show, super important in today's NFL, right? I know it's easy to say that 6 points is greater than 3, but you look at the Cowboys offense last year and how sometimes they stalled in the red zone, couldn't get things done in the red zone. That's why it's so important to be able to work this as hard as you can in training camp so when game situations come around, you're just as prepared.
And that's another episode of Training Camp Live. We'll be back tomorrow. Cowboys back on the practice field these next few days, continuing their work in Oxnard, California behind us. Be sure to keep up to date on DallasCowboys.com. For Tommy Yarrish, Alex Lilly behind the camera, I'm Kyle Youmans saying we'll see you tomorrow.